This committee of the whole meeting for October 3rd, 2023 is hereby called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Yamas?
Here.
Alderwoman Garza?
Here.
Alderman Masiacos?
Present.
Alderman Donnell?
Here.
Alderman Franco?
Here.
Alderman Seville?
Here.
Alderman Tolliver?
Here.
Alderwoman Smith?
Here.
Alderman Bug?
Here.
Alderwoman Bade?
Here.
Alderman Lash?
Present.
Alderman Warman?
Here.
Mayor Irvin's present.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of
So
September
moved.
19,
Second.
2023 committee of the whole meeting? Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garza. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by voice vote. Mr. Muhammad, present. All right, well, I will go into the mayor's report. Just fill you in on what's been going on here in the city of Aurora. As we enter the final quarter of the year, I want to take a moment to commend our staff and council on a very active and accomplished first 3 quarters of the year. It's been a whirlwind year with many accomplishments on the board. Even with some of our unexpected twists and turns, we continue to shine. And there's still much to do for the rest of the year. October is here, and it's already started on a fast-paced start, and we're just on day 3. We began this month with the 5th annual Aurora Pooch Parade and had an absolutely doggone good time. Pun intended. Over 100 dogs were registered. They came to win. It was like we had our Aurora's own Westminster dog show, with the dogs prancing around proud to be with their owners and show off their costumes. Thank you to Alderman Bade for joining us and presenting the awards. We will end this month, and let me just say, the dog parade was great. So all the folks, we missed Patty Smith and her pooch out this year. Next year, Alderman Bade's going to bring her pooch out. I don't know if anybody else has some dogs around, but we want to see them dogs shining in glory. I see Alderman Yamas over there looking like we don't have a dog yet, but if you get, as soon as you get one, bring it out, brother. We're going to end this month on Halloween with the annual Halloween at City Hall. All departments will have trick-or-treat tents on Water Street Mall as we did last year. Last year we had more than 2,000 kids participate, and we are looking forward to hosting even more excited young kids out trick-or-treating with us this year. All month long, many things are happening, but to highlight a few, today we hosted a wonderful German flag raising ceremony for German Unity Day. Thank you to Alderman Warman for his collaboration and moving remarks, talking about his German heritage and the fact that we are unified here in the city of Aurora. And not only do we celebrate, German culture and background and their history here in the city, we celebrate all of our cultures, backgrounds, and history here in the city. We honored Chris Gorlick-Weber and our own Ed Sieben and Dee Hakala with Resilience Awards. This month is also Cyber Security Awareness Month. I noticed as I said that our CIO back there, his ears perked up. And as the IT department has put together a robust schedule of activities for the community and the staff. I'll say that again, the community and the staff, to be prepared with making sure we protect our IT department and secure our IT systems. Residents can take a free home internet security course and participate in a virtual safety workshop. Staff will have several opportunities to learn more about cybersecurity as well. Thank you to Mike Piggies, our CIO, Mark Taghap, and especially our cybersecurity guru, Leela Kamori, who put it all together. Thank you, folks. Also, we are launching this week a citywide customer service survey this month as we look to transform the way we deliver customer service to our constituents across all city departments. We're conducting a survey to understand the public's general awareness of Aurora's customer service, the ways in which constituents have interacted with the city customer service functions in the past, and their customer service needs going forward into the future. October is also the height of the 2024 budget planning season. You've probably seen Chris Minnick walking around looking like he's going to pass out because of having to deal with every single department and all their budget requests and what we're looking forward to the future. And we'll soon begin to have budget hearings at Finance Committee. Prepare for that, Alderman Franco and team, Chairman Franco and team. It's no easy feat to pull this all together, but thanks to the award-winning team in the Finance Department, as I said, with Chris Minnick leading the way and Stacy Peterson, And from our office, Alex Alexandru, we are ahead of the curve and preparing to get into the details line by line. I also thank the Finance Committee for the time and attention you will give to this process. And we all know that's a time when the Finance Committee puts in a whole lot of hours making sure that we have a balanced budget here in the city, and you guys do a great job. You've done in the past. We've balanced the budget the whole time this administration's been in office, and we want to continue that, and it's because you guys' hard work on the Finance Committee. The budget process, the budget is a final document, but also a moral one. It reflects who we are, what we believe in, and what our priorities and values are, and where they lie. For us, it's not just about numbers, but the lives that will be impacted, our residents of the city of Aurora, the trajectories that could be changed, and the landscapes that can be forever altered and improved, literally and figuratively. This year's theme is Aurora Ascending, so let's keep raising the bar and setting new standards for the City of Lights. Thank you. Let's go on to public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
We do, Mr. Mayor.
Will you read the rules of public comment, please, ma'am?
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the committee of the whole for up to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person other than the timekeeper or the chair for the purpose of maintaining order may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the committee of the whole shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comment. Staff is directed to follow up with members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comment within the scope of the city's authority following the adjournment of this meeting.
Madam Clerk, will you read the first speaker wishing to offer public comment, please?
Adam Pauley.
Mr. Pauley, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The LGBT Advisory Board met, and we've got some events coming up that I just wanted to make you aware of. October 21st, we have 2 events back-to-back, starting with an open mic coming out stories in room 224 at the Aurora Public Library, followed up by an educational scavenger hunt with the businesses downtown Aurora. November 4th at 7 p.m. at the open mic night starts at 10 a.m. and the scavenger hunt is from noon to 3 right after that. November 4th, 7 p.m., we're going to be doing Feed My Starving Children as a service project, and with that we will have fulfilled this year all of our 3 pillars of education, service, and pride for our LGBT Advisory Board. The sign-up for that and the other events are on our Facebook page, so follow, like, subscribe, all of those things for our Facebook page. We're shooting for December 3rd for our self-defense courses. That had to go back to committee for a little while because the cost was $50, $60 person. We've been able to get that down to $10. So it's going to be tentatively December 3rd, and we'll have more information for you on that as it comes. We also made a $1,000 donation to the Chicago AIDS Run Walk. One of our members, Ivan Kionis, was in that, and so we made a donation to help cure HIV and AIDS. So those are some of the things that we've got coming up. Feel free to come to our events or promote our events, and I look forward to seeing you guys there.
Thank you, young man. Your leadership continues to impress. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public, any additional members that wishing to offer public comment?
We do not.
All right. Let's go on to committee reports. Chairwoman Patty Smith, can you give the Building, Zoning, Economic Development Committee
I sure
report?
can. Happy October. The Building, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee met on September 27th, 2023, and reviewed the following items. 230601, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for a vehicle repair minor 2834 use on the property located at 1995 Melissa Lane.
Consent.
No objection, time to go on consent.
2306 2302, a resolution approving a final plan on Lot 8 of Podeski Orchard 88, Phase 1 subdivision located at 1995 Melissa Lane for business and professional office 2400 use, vehicle repair, minor 2834 use, and a warehouse distribution and storage service 3300 use. And the petitioner is here if anyone has any questions for him.
Consent.
I'd like to keep this on unfinished.
Unfinished.
Would we like the petitioner to?
Would anyone like to, is the petitioner present? Want to give just a brief presentation as to what's going on in this item?
Yeah, I'm Mike DeSerto with Entree Commercial Realty. I present a mega equipment sales on 1995 Melissa Lane development. The petitioner plans to take their corporate headquarters to Melissa Lane. They're currently in 2 locations, in Elk Grove Village and in Beecher, Illinois. They'd look to put this into one roof.
Let me get this straight. You're moving from 2 other locations outside of the city and bringing the corporate headquarters here to our
That is
hometown?
correct. This would be our home. Yep. They're very proud to call Aurora, hopefully, their home for this development. It is not a very cheap development. What we have found on the real estate side of this is that these smaller lots, this is about 3.5 acre lot, are very hard. It can maximize a 40,000 square foot building per se, industrial building. It's very hard to do in today's economies of scale with the construction pricing. But what we have found with the transportation world is that if we do have some trailer parking allowed with it, some of these other municipalities such as Elk Grove Village or Bensonville that have turned away from it, and they've turned away from it only because that this was an allowed use that people were working on the vehicles outside. We understand that the municipalities in today's world are not allowing vehicles to be worked on outside. We have a 14,200 square foot building on this site. That will have 8,000 square feet of maintenance. All of that maintenance is inside, and that maintenance is not heavy construction or heavy maintenance by any means. This is oil change, windshield wiper blade changes, tire rotation. It's about it. No major overhaul, painting, anything like that.
How many employees you bringing to Aurora, brother?
We're going to bring 15 employees originally, with expectance within 24 months to have that up to 30.
Questions? Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. You have a question?
Yes, quick question.
Alderman
So the 8,000 in maintenance area of 14,000, so the rest is warehousing, storage?
Not the
offices,
so
sorry.
we do have we have 3,000 square feet of office comprised in that for office staff and personnel, and then we have 3,200 square feet of warehouse. So it would be 8,000 square feet of maintenance.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. We'll see you next week for city council.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, continuing, 230613, an ordinance amending Chapter 49 of the Code of Ordinance, City of Aurora by modifying a zoning map attached thereto to rezone the property located at 55 Jackson Street from B2 Business District to General Retail to R4 two-family dwelling district. This is a unique rezoning, but for a fire at this location, this rezoning would not be occurring.
Consent.
No objections, I move on consent.
230750, a resolution authorizing a limited operated agreement with the Freedom Flying Club Incorporated at the Aurora Municipal Airport for a period of 1 year. Our current flying school, Simply Fly, is relocating, and a student from that school wants to take over the operation and change the name to Freedom Fly and continue the operation for a year.
Consent.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Lesh.
Just a quick question. I saw the 1.5% of their sales is what we're going to get in monthly fees. I'm just curious if we have any assessment of how much that's going to be. I saw the details of how we plan to sort of track that, but anything you could do to highlight how we're going to guarantee that they're reporting their income and we recoup
Is
that.
Mr. Minnick present?
Our airport,
Is there someone from the airport that can speak to that?
yes.
All right.
I believe he
Go,
answered
Steve
that
Andrews.
question.
Steve Andrews, Airport Division. The 1.5% is a figure that's written in all of our agreements. However, in this case, there is a minimum we call it ground rent, so there's a minimum payment because it's such a small operation. They don't think they're going to do more than whatever it would be to reach any large sum. So the minimum that the airport has established for small businesses is $300 a month or $3,600 a year.
And how many square feet are we?
I know they're renting space from Rev Aviation. I don't know they're not leasing space per se from the city. They're a subtenant of Rev Aviation. I don't think it's very much from what I've heard. I haven't seen the space myself, but I don't think it's very large.
May I ask
And
you-
they don't need much
Let me ask
space.
you a question. What's the negative impact to the city of Aurora?
None.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I had one more question just on the contract itself, that this is extendable. This might be a legal question for 4 years. Is that automatic, or does it come back to the council? Hopefully, this is working out for both parties.
Patrick, I'd let Patrick answer that. This is a standard language in all of our operating agreements and leases.
It's renewable,
So it doesn't have to come back to the council?
correct. They have to give us a certain time of notice for it to, in order to renew every year.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Bug.
Yeah, we talked about the airport before COVID and looking at rents and things. So how does this compare to DuPage and some of the other airports where they're renting out space?
Patrick, you want to field that one? I'm not sure
Sure.
exactly what the question is.
It's a difficult comparison, as the leases at the Aurora Airport are all triple net, meaning the tenant pays for maintenance, upkeep, care, and everything else. And at DuPage Airport, that is different. Their rents, in general, are much higher because a lot of their maintenance is taken care of. So it's a difficult apples-to-apples comparison.
Okay.
Was there a particular reason you're asking that question, Alderman Bug, so we can try to clarify?
Well, like I said, of course, we want to get to the point where we're, and ensure that we're getting fair market value. So you look at your comparables. We do that all the time. So like I said, we talked about this before COVID. COVID changes everything. So coming back and renting these spaces, want to make sure we're in the ballpark.
Well, the only thing I could say, and I don't know, as Patrick mentioned, if we're comparing apples to apples, but with regard to the 1.5% clause, all of our tenants pay that, so we have to be fair across the board. I don't think we're entertaining any wholesale changes to that particular ground rent clause.
Mr. Alexander, and then I'll come to Alderman Smith.
Sorry, just to clarify, Alex Alexander, Chief Management Officer, this is a sublease that Rev is bringing forward. So all of our direct tenant leases between the city and the tenant have the ability to sublease to our approval, to the city's approval. So this is such a small portion of this one building, it's difficult to say what's market rate and what's not. That it really is the tenant's business decision whether they want to sublease or not. They just have to do it subject to the city's approval.
Alderman Smith.
Really, all I have to say is, we're very lucky that this individual who was a student at Freedom Flying, that is relocating to Texas and is leaving Aurora, that this student wants to step in and take over the operation and keep it in Aurora. So I think that's the positive of it. And Mr. Mayor, that's all that the BZNE has for today.
Thank you much. And just to be clear, that because the student's stepping up, we are continuing to have
Yes.
a flight school at the City of Aurora Airport.
If I can
No,
add,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
if I can add one point to it. So this agreement before us today is an operating agreement to allow the subtenant to operate. They pay 1.5% on anything there, as well as the rent they're paying. Rev is paying us the 1.5%. So we get it, some from their rent and then some from the operations, which is standard in all of our contracts and operating agreements.
No objections, item upon consent. All right, that concludes Building Zoning, Economic Development. Let's go on to Finance Chairman Franco. Can you give the Finance Committee reports?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee met on September 28, 2023, and reviewed the following items. 23-0705, a resolution authorizing Director of Purchasing to purchase an indoor mapping solution and associated work from Motive Corporation, Alexandria, Virginia, for a total award of $161,101 with a 10% contingency.
Consent.
This indoor mapping solution will allow for data collection and storage of buildings and assets in one central system to be available to the various departments.
No objections, item go on consent.
Next one is 23-0736, a resolution updating all fees pertaining to Chapter 46 of the City of Aurora Code of Ordinances entitled Towing Services. And this resolution allows for the city to set the amount of fees that can be charged by the various towing companies. The last amended increase was 2019.
Consent.
The fees proposed are similar to other neighboring municipalities, and also to align with state law, the verbiage in part of this certificate of purchase fee is changed to administrative processing fee.
No objections, item go on consent.
Next one is,
Hold on 1 second.
1 second there.
No, hold on, 1 second. I'm just let him read them. Go ahead, read the item.
the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay. 23-0741, a resolution authorizing the city to accept a grant award of $10,000 from Hartford to support fire safety education efforts and programming.
Before we continue, I believe Alderman Tolliver does have something he wants to state as far as him recusing himself from this particular item. Go ahead. Alderman.
Yeah, I just want to say I'll recuse myself from this particular item as I do work for the Hartford, so just to be completely clear and transparent.
All right, this time Alderman Tolliver will be leaving the council chambers while we discuss this particular item, and we'll return right after it's over. Continue, Alderman Franco.
Well, this should be pretty
Consent.
quick. I have nothing to add to this because I think what I just read is very plain and simple. We're getting a grant for fire safety education efforts.
Any questions on this particular item? There being no questions and no objections, this item will go on consent. We can bring, oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Alderman Lash.
Does it not go on consent because he might have to step out?
Actually, that's a good point. So no, this one will stay on unfinished
Unfinished.
based on
Right.
Alderman Tolliver recusing himself from it. So go ahead and have Alderman Tolliver come back in. This will go on unfinished. Let the record reflect that Alderman Tolliver is back in City Council chambers. Chairman Franco, can you read the next item?
Sure. The next one is 23-0749, a resolution ratifying payment to the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau in the amount of $175,000 from the hotel operator's occupation tax for the 2023 year.
Consent.
This is a continuation of agreed payments while a new agreement with the Convention Bureau is being worked out. The previous agreement expired December of 2022.
No objections, item go on consent.
Next one is 23-0753, an ordinance calling for a public hearing and a joint review board meeting to consider the amendment of a redevelopment project area and the approval of an amended redevelopment plan and project for the city of Aurora, West Farnsworth Tax Increment Financing District Number 7.
Consent.
No objections, I'm sorry.
Unfinished.
Unfinished.
Next one is 23-0754, an ordinance calling for a public hearing and joint review board meeting relative to the new city of Aurora Farnsworth-Bilter Tax Increment Financing District eligibility study and report and the redevelopment plan and project.
Consent.
Unfinished.
Unfinished.
Next one is 23-0760, a resolution authorizing the city treasurer to accept on behalf of the city a donation in the amount of $40,000 for the Huntington Foundation for the Financial Empowerment Center.
Consent.
And this is to assist with operating costs for the FEC.
No objections, item go on consent.
The next one is 23-0778, a resolution establishing a fee schedule for peddler and solicitor permits related to Chapter 32, peddlers and solicitors of the Code of Ordinance.
Consent.
This resolution will allow for potential fee changes to no longer need an ordinance amendment to do so, making it more efficient via a resolution.
No, Alderman Lash.
Just a quick question, that last language, so changes can go up without council approval?
No, we need, well, I'll let them
In the
comment, but I
future.
believe you always, on a resolution, you need to do it. You just don't have to change the ordinance, because the ordinance actually costs us money to do it every time we do it. So it's more of a streamlined effort, but it's not I don't think it's just a given. Every time we get a resolution, we have to vote on it.
Yes, it'll have to go back for a vote, but like you said, the benefit to that is not having to update the Code of Ordinances online.
Thank you.
Any other questions? There being none, no objections, item go on consent.
And, Mr. Mayor, that concludes the Finance Committee report.
All right, Chairman Seville, can you give the Public Health, Safety, and Transportation Committee report, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The PHS&T Committee met on Tuesday, September 26, 2023. We had one item on the agenda, 23-0764, resolution establishing the maximum number of Class C specialty on-site consumption liquor licenses unofficially related to the application from Foreign Exchange Brewing Inc. at 110 Cross Street, Aurora. This is Ward 4. This is for a food, well, they're going to be having food, Indian and Mexican foods and beer. They haven't been operating yet, and they've added 3 new owners to the liquor license, which is the reason for the
Consent.
change. So,
Before we accept that consent, if there's no objection, I see we have some of the principals, some of the owners of Foreign Exchange here. It's been a while since we talked to you, gentlemen. You wanted to step up and tell us a little bit about what's going on and the direction we're going in, what we're going to be looking forward to, and when it's going to open.
Yeah, good to see you guys again. It's a full production brewery and brewery tap room, so we will be producing beer on site, packaging beer for distribution, as well as for on-site consumption, and also package to go as well. There will be a fusion kitchen, so looking to do Indian Mexican fusion dishes for purchase in the tap room as well. There's an outdoor patio area that's been poured as you guys have been driving by and seeing that. Yeah, we're looking to get production up and running as long as we can get all of our licenses and everything else greenlit. Looking to have that up and going in the next couple months. And then hopefully start next year, get the tap room open with a small limited menu. As we kind of deal with some lead times related to the hood and fabrication, which could be a third phase for us. But at the very least, get production up and running in there, hopefully in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
And just to remind the council, there was a liquor license approved for this location previously. However, with the addition of the new partners, they had to come back and submit so we can add the new partners to the license as well. Questions based on that? Alderman Seville? I'm sorry, did you have anything? Any questions based on that? Go ahead.
I just want to say, I was David Debo. I did an inspection today of the property, and it's incredible. There was about 6 work people there, and the tanks are in. Maybe Rich, you want to explain a little bit more about what's been going on, but it really looks very close to completion.
Yeah, we've essentially since I know we last spoke at the end of 2020. Really, since May of this year, things are moving very quickly. We've got drywall up. We've got the brewing production equipment already in place. Half of the fermenters are in. The other 2 are coming in next week. Patio is poured, and yeah, we had our walk-in cooler installed today. So yeah, it's moving along very quickly. We're very close to being a turnkey operation for production.
With no objections, item will go on consent. I'll turn it back over to. Oh, you said it's the only.
That's the report from Public Health.
That was a good one. Chairwoman Wani Garza, can you give the Infrastructure and Technology Committee report, please?
Yes, Mayor. We got together on September 25th. The first item is 23-0709, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to purchase a 3-year subscription for automated integration of service to the Sound Thinking Vermont, California Intergraph Corporation, Madison AL, for a total award of $60,816.85.
Consent.
With no objections, item will go on.
230713, a resolution awarding the design and engineering service for Fire Station number 9 and number 13 to FGM Architects of Oak Brook, Illinois, and the station number 4 to Cordogan, Clark, and Aurora, Illinois.
Consent.
No objections, item will go on consent.
23-0720, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to purchase an 8-year service agreement for Big Valley Solar, Inc., Nadaham, MA, for a connected smart waste solar compacting and recycling platform of Phillips Park for a total award of $795,105.76.
Consent.
I see, hold on a second. I see Gio Santana is here with someone, a representative from Big Valley. You guys want to step up and give us a little information about what this is we're looking at?
Sure. Good afternoon. I have with me Chase. He's a representative from Big Belly.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing, Chase?
Yeah, so what we have here, I'm actually going to
Feel free to move the microphone up closer
Yep,
to your
I'm
mouth.
actually going to go through a
You don't
few
have to bend down
slides
so you can move it up to you.
pretty quickly.
There you go.
And just so we can focus on the application for Phillips Park in particular, so at a high level, if we could just go to the next slide, I'll explain very quickly what, oh, I haven't, through what Big Belly is. So Big Belly is a recycling and trash receptacle, which is a compacting system that is also software enabled. So really it's separated into three pillars of how it can have an impact on a public space. And what that'll do is make it all together better, which has been our motto as of late. So how we're able to do that is first we start with a cleaner space. And that is through a fully enclosed bin, so we're not seeing visible waste, we're not seeing overflows, and we're able to hold about 5 times the capacity of what a standard bin would be able to through our compaction technology. A smarter space, and that is through our clean monitoring software, which our monitoring software will be able to tell you at any point how full the bin is. So that's really great for collections, where if your team is able to see at any time how full the bin is, and that way you're not collecting when the bin is 50% full and not when it's already too late and it's overflowed. So that on average reduces collections by about 80%, which is a really big impact for any waste collection team. And on the greener side, this is going to be especially important for Phillips Park. We are enabling a recycling program, and the important piece there is that that recycling receptacle is a uniform and consistent receptacle. We're also going to be adding a interchangeable message panel onto the side that will be able to educate the public as to what can be recycled, which is very important for recycling diversion. Let's go back. Just the last piece on complete containment. Because the bin is fully enclosed and we're not seeing pests get into the bins or wind blowing things all over the place or anybody kind of picking through trash. I know Phillips Park has seen some illegal dumping, so that's something we wanted to address. That's going to eliminate the pollution that's kind of being spread throughout the park as well. Okay, so how a Big Belly works. So the bin that you're seeing here is a compacting enclosed bin with software. So just very quickly, some of the core features. We have a hands-free foot pedal, which now comes standard. So that way, if you don't want to touch the handle, you can simply step on the foot pedal and down comes the hopper. There is also an option for a 50-gallon capacity that is non-compacting. So we'll talk about that in a bit as well. And we talked about message panels. They're also extremely durable. So the life cycle for these bins is anywhere from about 10 to 12 years, depending on the environment and how they're taken care of. They're made out of galvanized steel and corrosion-resistant materials, so you're not seeing rust as you would with some traditional bins. And these are just a couple of the different interfaces that you can have on these bins. What we're going to focus on is the hopper interface and the chute interface. The hopper, you can think of it as a mailbox opening, very similarly to how you open. You can't stick your hand in, and that's for safety and then also to prevent pilfering, pests, and from just visible waste in general. The chute interface is a wider opening. It does not have that backstop, but it still provides the complete containment. This is most often seen on the non-compacting bins. It can be done in compacting bins, but for our purposes, that's going to be used for the non-compacting items that we have for Phillips Park. And this is just an example of how customizable they can be. This is what we call the Octobelly out of Japan, where you can see pretty much all of the examples of the types of interfaces we have. Again, we're going to be focusing on the fully enclosed pieces of those, but pretty much any artwork you can imagine can be wrapped to or customized to any level. But we're going to be looking at the message panel side, which I have an example here in a moment. Before we get there, just to touch on the clean monitoring software, I could spend a lot of time kind of explaining the different elements to the clean software, but on a basic level, it is a fullness monitoring notification system, and we'll be able to send alerts either through an app or through a desktop to make sure the collections team and the park is completely in tune with their waste system. You wouldn't get that type of feedback from a traditional bin, and I think that's just really invaluable when it comes to improving the system as a whole. This is a sample dashboard, just some of the things that you're going to see on a clean dashboard. All of the bins and how many of them are ready to collect, any overflows, types of alerts, possible hopper jams, which we don't see too frequently, but just really the bins are communicating back to you, and you can check in on them at any time to get a live status report. Just virtually any diagnostic that you could get with a piece of tech, you can see through this system. It's very intuitive. It is very easy to use, and we have a lot of training tools to kind of help onboard and also support staff to work with the park staff and make sure that they get up to speed very quickly. One piece on the sustainability that I wanted to mention, there's also recycling diversion rates are measured. So when you're implementing a recycling program, that's extremely important to pay attention to from the beginning, as well as the greenhouse gas emissions reduction that you're going to be seeing from trucks not going out as often, and just the overall reduction of labor hours. So real-time data is very important here. And this is just more information on fleet management, just bin statuses and alerts that you can measure. And this is our portfolio of bins. So for our purposes, we're going to be focusing on the two on the far right, which are the orange and the red ones, known as Smart and Smart Max. The easiest way to think about it is it's either going to have a compactor or it's not. It's going to have software or it's not. For Phillips Park, we're going to have software-enabled bins for every bin. So that'll be those two bins on the far right. The Smart Max is a 150-gallon compacting bin, and the Smart is a 50-gallon non-compacting bin with the software. And these are all solar-powered, of course. And I just wanted to throw this slide in there as an example of what the message panels look like. We haven't seen those yet, and just the front wrap there. But there are a couple of accessories that we can add. So if we decide that we want to put, maybe we want a wheel to lift bin, we can have a bar enabled into the back of the bin. If we have forks that need to pick them up, make it a little bit easier, or just be able to wheel them out. But a lot of different options, and that's really where we can have a big belly for pretty much any situation. And this is a case study of the city of Newton in Massachusetts that these have been enabled in several parks. They have quite a widespread deployment at the moment, and you're going to see very similar themes as we go through other case studies as well. But just to spend a little bit more time on this one, this is neighboring our HQ in Needham, Massachusetts. So we've had a great partnership with them. Their original challenges were not so different from what we're seeing at Phillips Park, so I thought this was a great comparison. They have open top bins currently that are leading to visible waste and windblown litter. Their open bins are also providing a food source for rats and other pests and squirrels and such. Their current collections really have had a huge impact, not only on the labor time spent, but then also just if you think about if there's a lot of people collecting trash more often, that's going to affect the people who are visiting's experience just with people around them constantly collecting trash. So we wanted to kind of declutter that in a way. And there was no public space recycling at the time. After talks with them, we implemented just over 350 big belly bins, which are the Smart Max and Smart variety. So again, extremely similar to what we're looking at for Phillips Park. You can also see the Element is included in there as well. The Element, we didn't talk about this, but what an Element is a fundamental bin, so no software, no compacting tech, and that's typically used for less high traffic areas, maybe on the outskirts, just for more of a line of sight receptacle to make sure no spots are missed. But for Phillips Park, this is a little bit more high foot traffic in a lot of these areas, so for our purposes, Smart, Max, and Smart are going to be the way to go. The results of this deployment, they actually just recently, after this case study was done, ordered another 100 bins, so they've been very satisfied with the results there. The enclosed design eliminated the visible waste and the windblown litter. The containment also eliminated pretty much all of the rats and pest interactions that they had with waste at the time. It was almost a quick fix for that piece of things. But aside from that, their software also increased the capacity, the compactor increased the capacity, but along with the software element, they were able to reduce their collections by 88%. On average, we see about 80% with all of our customers, which is a huge impact to the system. And along with that, it reduced greenhouse gas emissions by about 85%. Again, a huge impact. And their recycling system, through Clean, we're able to measure. They achieved a 27% diversion rate. I checked this morning, they're at 32%, so they're improving. Something a little bit closer to here, we have a great partnership with University of Illinois Chicago. Very similar situation to Newton. I won't spend as much time on this one, but about 450 bins, and we continue to have a great relationship with them, but solve the same exact issues there as Newton. And then with Navy Pier as well, this is a really great example of an extremely high traffic, high use, high collections area. Very similar to the Newton and the other case study that we had there. They have about 114 of our bins, and again, ongoing relationship. We're looking at enabling some more to improve their system. Those are all SmartMax bins. So SmartMax is usually reserved for that higher traffic area. So this has been a really great implementation for them, and yeah, we continue to have a great relationship. And just a few more visual examples. For Phillips Park, we're looking at a mix of double compacting units, which you see in the center, and then also compacting attached to non-compacting ones. So I know that can get a bit confusing with names, but for visual purposes, that center image would be almost an exact copy of what we're looking at for Phillips Park. And G, I'll let you speak to this a little bit more since this is kind of your area.
Yeah, so as Chase pointed out, this is a comprehensive waste management solution using modern technology to streamline waste collection. Our current bins, we have approximately 96 bins. They don't have sufficient capacity to handle the park usage, so we're looking to implement a new solution. As you mentioned previously, the current bins have a lot of issues with fly dumping, overflow, wind-blown litter, and debris, and then along with infestation from pests, raccoons getting into the bins, creating messes. They're also deteriorating. They affect the aesthetics, so looking to some of those improvements. We have approximately between 92 and 96 bins. They vary anywhere from 55 gallons to 32 gallons, an average of 44 gallons per can, approximately just over 4,000 gallons throughout the park. This is our current footprint with the current structure. What we're going to look at the proposed is on the next slide. So we would be looking at a total of 21 Smart Max double stations, 22 Smart Max stations, 9 Smart single, and 1 Smart double station, so almost reducing our locations in half, but still providing more capacity, roughly 7,000 gallons for waste, and then more importantly, 4,300 gallons for recycling, which we currently do not have.
So I'll address a few. So just to address a few key points on that map, if I can go back. Those purple icons are the SmartMax doubles, which I mentioned were both 150-gallon capacity. So it would be 150-gallon capacity for waste, 150-gallon capacity for recycling. You see the collection of purple dots in the middle there? That is the zoo. So we had special focus there to increase the capacity and just the accessibility of trash and recycling in that particular area. So that is one restructure we wanted to do, as well as add bins within site north of Mastodon Lake and within the islands themselves. And then, again, just kind of make that uniform throughout the entire rest of the park. But those particular areas are something we wanted to address and that we have here with this proposal. The total capacity previously was just around 4,100 gallons or so for just waste. With the Big Belly implementation, we have just under 7,000 gallons for waste, and now an additional 4,300 gallons for recycling, creating a really great opportunity for more diversion on that end of things. Okay, so just some numbers here. The current amount of stations we mentioned are 92. We're reducing that by nearly half to 53 stations. The weekly collections, it's about 4 minimum, and I know you mentioned that's per person that is collecting, so I'll let you speak to kind of the labor a bit.
Yeah, so our garbage operation does fluctuate throughout the year depending on the busyness of the season, but let's say that on average it takes 32 staff hours per week currently. We anticipate that being possibly reduced down to 8 hours per week. That's approximately 24 hours of staff time that can be reallocated to higher tier jobs, more important jobs than just garbage collection. The numbers throughout the table kind of extrapolate those figures from a weekly, monthly, and yearly to our total annual collections.
And yeah, here, and just to illustrate the point in an hours piece. So again, this is per person. So I think as we start to kind of add the numbers up with the per employee that is collecting, it ends up to be about 32 hours per week. So you can kind of see how this number would grow as we start to really get the whole picture together. But this is per person at a minimum. So overall, our proposition and what we're going to be achieving for Phillips Park, we're going to clean up the space. Right now, it's a bunch of rusted steel barrels with trash kind of falling out of them at this point. So that's a very quick fix right away. Just make it a very uniform, aesthetically pleasing trash bin, which I know you wouldn't typically expect, but we definitely take the eyesore of trash bins out of the equation. And the combination of the compacting Smart Max and non-compacting Smart Stations, I kind of mentioned the specific strategic areas that we're going to be addressing. So as far as a just overall deployment, making that a lot more efficient than it currently is. And the most important piece of implementing any recycling program into a public space is it has to be recognizable and it has to be consistent. So with the customizable pieces that we're offering, we have the message panels on the side, and we'll likely be putting some messaging there that is educating the public on this is what can be recycled, this is what can't, to further increase the diversion rate. On top of that, the hoppers for our recycling receptacles are blue, and you have to physically either pull down that hopper handle or press on the foot pedal. Rather than an open top bin, you can conveniently walk by and throw away anything you want. People don't always make the right decision. If you're having to take that small extra step, that alone increases the diversion rate that you'll see from recycling to waste, and then kind of add these things on top of that, and we're hoping to see a really great result. And this is the estimate of the agreement that we have currently, and that's the amount that you see reflected over an 8-year period. But I wanted to put this up here not only to kind of see the quantities of the stations, but also to speak to our what we refer to as our Connect agreement, which is the rental side of things. So a couple things that are included are that clean software. We have the station installation will be included, setup and training, customer support. I mean, you can call our customer support right now. You'll get someone on the phone immediately. They're really incredible. Cleaning and inspection, that is once per year, and we have authorized techs that will come out and that I think you've worked with in the past that will come and clean the stations, inspect them for any issues, just to make sure they are staying up to maximum effectiveness as throughout the agreement. And typically, sometimes we'll see this with our capital purchase options, a 5-year warranty is included. However, with this 8-year agreement, that is extended out to 8 years. So with a life cycle of around that 10-year mark, we're seeing a lot of value added with that warranty extended between that 5 to 8 year period, and to make sure the stations are staying up to par and as effective as possible. So I just wanted to point that out, as I think that's a huge value point for this particular agreement. And just a little background on us as Big Belly. We've been in this space for 20 plus years. We're in all 50 states and over 60 countries at this point. We've done this exact solution many, many times with great success, and we continue to improve every year, and we're very excited to have that opportunity here at Phillips Park.
Thank you, sir. Alderman,
Question.
yeah, I know we didn't know we knew much. There's that much to know about garbage cans, but we appreciate it. Alderman Masiakos.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate Representative from Big Belly here this evening. Brought up a question. First of all, I want to say that I'm really excited to have this at in the 3rd Ward, Phillips Park, one of our gems in the city. I'd like to think it's number one gem. But nonetheless, what I want to ask you is, because I brought up a question during committee that the visual message boarding for these systems, can they be provided for afterwards? And I believe I was told yes, it could be, in case the city wants to do its own messaging, like you showed on one of your slides.
They absolutely can. We can provide kind of our standard message panel, which would be that.
I saw the side.
Exactly.
But
that could be added afterwards as well and customized to your liking.
So that could be afterwards, and that has to be through Big Belly?
It does not, no.
Okay, all right. And if it is through Big Belly, can you give me an idea of give us an idea of what that cost would be?
Through Big Belly, I mean, after the fact, it might be a little different with the stations already out there, but I know as an initial offering, they run around about $600 per double station. So for 2 message panels, it's right around that figure.
Okay, today?
Correct, yep.
All right, thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Alderman Seville.
Yes, Mayor. A couple of questions. So you'll be continuing to own all these bins and then maintain them, is that correct?
Big Belly maintains ownership, yes, and then with the agreement, we have a tech that's able to come out and maintain as needed, of course, and then, but we have included a annual inspection and cleaning.
And with the technology that we have in these bins, do they hold up through all sorts of weather, the hottest days and the coldest days of the year?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just to kind of speak to the efficiency of the solar panel, we get a lot of these questions in snowy areas. They only need about 3 kilowatts per hour for the solar panel to power the battery. So we've had snow-covered units for 2+ weeks that have been able to run just fine without a battery dying. So they're extremely efficient, and that's patented on our side.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Smith?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we learned a whole lot about garbage cans this evening. Thank you for that education. My questions are for staff. I'm looking at the scoring overview, and I see that you scored Big Belly with Waste Quip. What I can't see and can't open in my iPad is the financial differences of them. So if you could, before our next meeting, provide that for us?
Yes. Yeah, we can send that out.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. But off the top of your head, what made you pick Big Belly over Waste Clip? What was the big differences that you're seeing?
One of the biggest differences that we saw with Big Belly was their not only their history in the business, but also they were kind of a one-stop solution where a lot of the other vendors either had sensors that we could retrofit to current bins, which would eliminate some of the issues, but not, they'd still be open bins. They would still be kind of a half measure. Big Belly had their experience, had the background, and it really was the best, well-rounded solution for what we were looking for.
More of a one-stop shop, they could do it all?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind providing us with those.
Yeah, we can send that
those,
out.
proposals, that would be great. Thank you.
And Mr. Santana, just make it clear, this is a project that you've been working on for the park for the last 3 to 4 years, trying to get a solution similar to this. So it's not something you just jumped into all of a sudden.
No, that is correct. We have been working on this for a few years, and we're looking at this as a pilot program for potential expansion outside of the parks, such as the business district downtown, the transit centers, and other remote park locations as well.
Any other questions? Alderman Franco.
So I saw you did an analysis about hours saved from staff for maintaining these, the ones we have now. And then I saw another slide up there that says it costs $8,000 a month for Big Bellies. That's kind of what we're looking at. Is that about right? Do we know what it costs us now per month to do what we've been doing historically? That so we know if there's similar amount, because this is obviously better, but is this amount similar? Is we paying more? We're actually going to save money by doing this?
We can put that information together as well ahead of the next meeting. It's different because it is staff hours, but it's still costs associated with that, but we can put something together.
Yeah, because you already, I mean, you had us going that way, so I saw, oh, you did some, so I'm just figuring if you could extrapolate that a little bit, said, this is what it's costing us a month, because we have this data, and this is what they're bringing to the table, so we can just kind of take a look
Absolutely, we can add that.
What's costing us, what we're saving, maybe.
Yes.
Staff hours is money, and it does cost money, so that counts. Alderman Leish.
Sure, just quick question on the warranty part. Under what's covered, it says mouse, rat, squirrel, ingress damage. On the what's not covered, it says external animal damage. In Chicago, when they had a number of problems with these, it was rats eating the wires and so forth, and I'm sure you're aware they received a number of bad press pieces about Big Belly not living up to standards. What does happen if the animal chews at the and gets inside and damages the internal structure coming from the external side? It's that internal-external question.
Sure. So I think it is case by case. Of course, anything that's not covered under warranty is thoroughly reviewed by the team to kind of address those issues, make sure our partner is happy with what the outcome may be. But for that particular type of issue, it's extremely rare for something like that to happen. I think that was a special case scenario. Other examples of where we might see that, I haven't heard of in a very, very long time, but it usually is reviewed case by case basis, and we try to put the best package together, whether it's kind of a parts order on an as-need basis, or just it is really case by case.
And then several years ago, I know Chicago wanted to get out of the deal, and I've actually seen them piled up with garbage because they weren't working. How do you address that? Is it change in software?
Yeah, this is certainly an initiative that I've taken, not only with Chicago, but a few other examples where they may have some of our older models. I believe those are closer to 15 years, maybe the 10 to 15 year mark now. At that point, we're revisiting, some of our improvements that we have made to the bins and restructuring the type of, whether it's a similar rental type agreement where they maybe don't have the maintenance going out there that they thought they would, or maybe they're not using the software that things change all the time. So we just want to make sure they have the best package possible, and we're revisiting that. So to speak to that at that point, I just know that those bins are definitely on the older side at this point and would probably just need a little bit of a tune-up.
Okay, and then it's an 8-year.
However, hold on, before we'll let you finish that question, but I want Mr. Santana to address the whole rat issue. We don't have the same rat problems in sewers and alleys in Aurora that they do in Chicago, is that correct?
That is correct.
What kind
Also,
of wild animals do we have running around chewing up stuff in the city of Aurora?
Also, part of the issues in Chicago were self-inflicted in a way that they weren't locking them properly. So one of the things that he mentioned, this training is provided, will ensure that staff is properly aware of the training so that they're securing them properly and eliminating the potential for some of those issues to get internal access to the components.
What's your next question, Alderman?
We do have squirrels. I know my garbage can got chewed apart by squirrels. It's an 8-year agreement. If things aren't going well in year 1, 2, 3, what's our out?
We'd have to review the agreement a little closer for the exact answer to that, but we treat everyone like a partner, not a customer per se. So it's an ongoing conversation. If you're truly dissatisfied with something that's happening, that's a conversation we have, and we work with you either to make that product work for you, or if it's not working at all, and I haven't seen that happen quite yet, especially with the newer options, then that's something that we can explore. But I would have to read the exact terms to give you a perfect answer on that one.
Alderman Seville.
Yeah, follow up to one of the questions that Alderman Lesh was making with regard to the lifespan of these bins. Do we anticipate each of the bins lasting the entire 8 years of the current proposed agreement?
It would certainly be an exception if they didn't. Usually we see on the 10, 12-year mark. We do have 15-year-old bins out there currently that are working great. But it totally depends on the environment. But for 8 years, I would safely say yes.
And assuming that the city council in the future, in the 8 years, and yourself or whoever's in charge of Big Belly, want to continue the agreement, what do they do with the current bins that we have 8 years from now? Are they changed over? Do they adopt new technology? At what point do you anticipate?
Yeah, multiple options there. You can purchase the bins that you currently have. You can opt for a renewal of that agreement for an additional time that you see fit. Or you can start a new agreement with new bins. If you want the latest and greatest, we're certainly happy to help.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Yamas.
Thank you, Mayor. Earlier, when Alderman Franco was asking you, Joe, to calculate the labor hours that we're going to save by going this route possibly, I don't know if you could easily calculate this, but one thing to take into consideration for the rest of my colleagues here is also the expense of fuel, because we're not going to have trucks going out there, city trucks, 4 times a week to collect this trash. So there'll be an 80% reduction in fuel. And on top of that, the impact on the environment. I know some of us up here are more environmentally conscious, and something like this is not only going to promote recycling in our city, it's also going to cut down on the use of gas-powered vehicles by staff. Right now, some of us would like to go to all-electric. We unfortunately cannot because they are not available at this time. But this is one way to head in that same direction. So please keep that in the back of your head. Thank you.
Thank you. With no objection, this item will go on consent. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Long-winded explanation about garbage cans. All right, let's go on to the final committee report. Chairman Juan Rorman, give the
We're not
rules.
finished, Mayor.
I'm so sorry. Chairwoman Guard, you got bored.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, you got so stuck on garbage cans. Right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish, Chairwoman Guard.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
The next one is, we're so exciting with this one. 23-0745, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a contract supplement with Fairgram and Associates LLC of Freeport, Illinois, in amount of $22,000 for CSO monitoring and DMR preparation.
Consent.
No objection, time to go on consent.
23-0746, a resolution to award the Frontenac and Gregory 54 RCP, a storm sewer extension project located in Ward 10, to Stocks Excavating Inc. and the bid amount of $171,555.00.
Consent.
Mr. Mayor,
Objections, I'm sorry, Alderman Bate.
can we please have a brief presentation?
Is there someone from staff that can do a brief presentation on this item?
Good afternoon. Ken Schroth with the Public Works Department. So this project was brought to our attention. Some residents contacted Alderwoman Bade. Basically, the outfall for Spring Lake, which handles much of the stormwater for the entire far east side, outfalls near this tennis court on private property, but there is a large city easement requiring the city to maintain this. And this outfall over the years has caused a bunch of erosion and caused a minor pedestrian little bridge to start to have some issues. So we took a look at it, and we feel that the best way to handle the erosion long-term is to put in a large diameter pipe that will get that outfall all the way to the lake and prevent future erosion. So that's what's before you tonight.
Questions?
Thank you for the thorough research on this project, Ken. And I had a few questions. First of all, I wanted to ask, what is the timeline for this project? When do we expect to start? How much time will it take to finish this?
If approved by council next week, by the time we work with purchasing and get the contracts and the insurances all put in, hopefully they can order the pipe and then get the project started mid-November maybe, and then it should only be a couple-week process. Much of the restoration will probably have to take place next spring, but most of the piping will be done this year.
And do we need to inform the residents?
We will. That'll be we'll make sure we contact the HOA.
And it will not impact their water supply?
Not at all, nope.
Okay, thank you so much.
You bet.
And just to be clear, Ken, when you say that you're going to put the pipe in, but you have to do the resurfacing next year in the spring, what exactly does that mean and how will that affect traffic flow?
Well, luckily, all the work that we have to do is, it's primarily all landscaping. So it'll be just a green area next to the existing tennis court. So that, we won't be able to replant it in late November, but we'll get to that in the spring.
So there's nothing in the streets, so we'll
Correct.
interrupt the traffic.
There'll be, when we start the project, obviously the guys will have to set up the crews starting at the street and then access the site from there. So there'll be a little disruption, but it's inside the subdivision. So I think very, very little impact to the public.
Thank you.
Can
You
I
bet.
ask?
Go ahead, Alderman Bate.
So the boulders will be removed from that area?
The what?
Or the big rocks?
Yes.
And the landscaping is HOA's responsibility, not cities?
After we're done, but we'll reestablish the turf afterward.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You bet.
No objections, item go on
Okay,
consent.
the last item and the last one is 23-0748, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a contract with Nedro Painting, Aurora, Illinois, and to the amount of $107,250 to perform maintenance in the pedestrian bridge near River Edge Park and Ward 1.
Consent.
I want to put some kind of primer to protect in case we have graffiti.
No objections. I'm sorry, Alderman Smith.
Question, when they delaminate or whatever they call it, the current substance on there, where does that liquid go?
Mr. Schrock.
Are they taking it away, or is it going into the river? Or?
No, it'll be completely contained. So basically, it's applied, and then there's almost like a mat that goes on top of it, and the mat peels off and brings with it the previous graffiti coating.
Great, thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay. And I conclude the meeting.
Thank you. That was a long one. That last one, no objection to that item, will go on consent. All right, let's go on to the final committee report. Chairman Ron Warman give the Rules Administration and Procedure Committee report. But before you give that report, I just want to, raise this glass, this big glass that you provide to everybody with nothing in it, I see. It reminds me of when I was in Germany years ago, how they used to hand these, and we have to drink this whole thing.
Yeah, well, we can fix that later on if you'd like. So yeah,
we'll talk, brother.
Yeah,
We'll talk.
It's just a mug from the Spot and Brewery, which is, I believe, the 7th oldest brewery in Germany. So I thought, in honor of German Unification Day, that I'd share that with everybody here. So.
Thank you, kind sir. We hopefully will all put this to use at some point. We'll talk to you about it afterwards.
You got it.
Until then, let's go on with the RAP committee.
Okay, great, thanks. Rules Administration and Procedure Committee met on September 19th, 2023, and reviewed the following items. First item, 23-0597, an ordinance amending sections 2.184 and 2.185 of the Code of Ordinances pertaining to outside occupations and the disclosure of economic interest and campaign contributions.
Consent.
No objection, this item will go on consent.
Next item, 23-0701, a resolution approving the appointments of Susan Rivera Mills, Lindsay Cochran, Endalib Yelgadi, Thomas Kim, Rosalia Sita, and Evan Glazer to the Education Commission.
Consent.
No objection, this item will go on consent.
And the next item was held last time, this 23-0710. I'm sorry, 23-0710. This item is going to go back to RAP for further discussion, and we'll bring it forward.
All right, all in favor of this item going back to RAP?
Consent.
So moved. Have been a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, there we go. That'll be sent back to RAP.
Thank you, and that concludes Rules, Administration, and Procedures.
Thank you very much. That concludes our committee reports. There is no, there's a staff report we have today, and hopefully that staff report goes pretty quickly. Our folks from Zen City are here to talk about how that program has been helping the city of Aurora and all of our aldermen and wards with the data and information they've been providing.
So Mike Piggy's Chief Information Officer.
Good evening, Viviana Ramirez, Director of Community Services.
And today, Mayor, we're going to, on behalf of the Mayor's Office, IT, Community Services, and also our partners in cities, which Mr. Maurice Klassen will introduce himself here in a second. We're going to be presenting the Aurora Community Survey report. It's for the first half of 2022, and I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Maurice Klassen and let him introduce himself.
Thank you very much, Mike, and thank you very much for having me. My name is Maurice Klassen. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Zen City. Actually, here remotely, who will be presenting for us is our Director of Survey Research, Dr. Rachel Levenstein. She's based in D.C., but I just wanted to come down because although the company is based in New York, Tel Aviv, and Vancouver, B.C., I am based in the city of Chicago. Aurora is one of our longest-standing partners, so I just wanted to come down as a signature or sign of respect, and also thank you for your ongoing partnership. With that, I think we'll turn it over to Dr. Levenstein, who will present the community survey response or records.
All right, thanks so much, Maurice. I'm going to share my screen. If you can let me know when you see it, that would be really helpful. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
You're going to have to share it on your side, Rachel.
Yeah, I am sharing it.
There we go. So we can see it now.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Tonight I want to present to you your first results from the community survey. We collected data from May to June of this year, and there will be your next report will happen in January. So a little bit about the community survey. This is a recurring survey that aims to measure quality of life and satisfaction with community characteristics and city services. And you'll be able to ultimately see how this changes over time. And towards the end of the presentation, I'm going to show you how your results compare against similar communities and also the U.S. as a whole. So we recruited almost 800 respondents over social media, mobile app ads, local websites, and survey panels between May and June of this year. The way we built a representative sample was to first start with Census Bureau targets. So we knew how many men, how many women, and also by race, ethnicity, and age group, how many we were going to target. So we collected data and kept an eye on responses that were coming in. And then after the survey was collected, we used a process called rake weighting that further adjusts the results so that no demographic group is overrepresented or underrepresented in the results. I'm going to first start talking about overall satisfaction, and this is a composite score. This comes from a series of questions, 3 of which are about quality of life, and there are about, I think about 10 that are around community characteristics and city services. So the way we estimated overall satisfaction was to take the average of the quality of life scores and the average of the community characteristic scores, take the average of those together, and assign it a positive, neutral, or a negative score. So in Aurora, almost everybody is either satisfied or neutral on this score. So about 98% were in these two buckets: 75% positive, 22% neutral. And here are the quality of life scores, the quality of life questions. The overall quality of life in Aurora, 64% of residents were satisfied with that. 56% said that they were likely to recommend Aurora as a place to live. And 56% were also likely to be living in Aurora 5 years from now. When we take the average of all those community characteristics questions, which I'll show you in just a few slides, 75% were satisfied with community characteristics. So let's break down satisfaction by demographics very quickly. I'm going through this very quickly, and I do want to emphasize there is a longer report with a little bit more detail, including on geography. But let's take a quick look at demographics and satisfaction by demographics. We do see that older residents and younger residents are a little bit more satisfied than those in the middle, the 35 to 54-year-olds. We also see that education is related to satisfaction, where folks with more education tended to be more satisfied than those with less. We don't see a lot of differences by race or ethnicity or by gender, but we do see some indications of differences in satisfaction by income, where those in the middle income category, 80% of them were satisfied, compared to 63% of the higher income group and 73% of the lower income group. Okay, so let's turn to the community characteristics. We're going to show you the percent who are positive, neutral, and negative. And what I want to say here, I'm not going to go through all of these in the interest of time. You can also look at the full report afterwards. But in general, people are pretty satisfied or they're neutral. There is not a lot of negativity here. When we look at the highest, the area where people are most satisfied, that's the quality of parks and recreational amenities, where, 89% were either satisfied or neutral. And then if we go to the bottom end of the scale, where people were least satisfied, that's the availability of jobs that pay a living wage. But still, 80% were either satisfied or neutral. And I do want to mention, and just kind of put this into a little bit perspective, this is something we're seeing across the board. And I'll show you again how this compares to other cities and how this compares to the U.S. as a whole. But we're seeing across the board people are having trouble, people who are dissatisfied with the availability of jobs that pay a living wage. But in Aurora, about 80% are feeling okay about it at least. So these were a lot of different community characteristics, and what we wanted to do was pick out two to really focus on. So we wanted to find characteristics that were strongly related to overall satisfaction and had a notably high score, and one that had a notably low score. So the one that had a notably high score was the availability of a variety of art and cultural events, where 57% were satisfied and 34% were neutral. So this is kind of an area where we sort of say, keep doing what you're doing. People are pretty happy here, and this has a big impact on overall satisfaction. And then we have our focus area, the area where we have a strong relationship to overall satisfaction, but it's a relatively low score. And here it's the sense of overall safety. But still, I want to emphasize that about 80% of residents were either positive or neutral on this category. And in the full report, you'll be able to kind of break down each one of these by demographics and also by geography. Okay, so now I want to kind of turn to the community benchmark. So these scores are really interesting, it's really great, but what we really need to do is put them into some context so you know kind of where you stand. So what we did was run a national survey of a little bit over 5,000 people across 1,000 communities in the United States. And we created a national estimate that way. We also grouped them together using Census Bureau data. So we wanted to find communities that were similar to one another, and we put them in what we call cohorts. And these are based on things like demographics, population size, income, and also region. We wanted to get cities in the same region together. So here are some of the cities in your cohort. We've got Rockford, Peoria, Elgin, Joliet, and Naperville. And as you can see from these statistics here, the matchup in the cohorts is never perfect, but it's a pretty good estimate overall. These are pretty similar cities overall. So let's dive into the quality of life scores and see how the quality of life in Aurora matches up with the national and the cohort scores. So when we look at the overall quality of life, it's substantially higher than the cohort and the national. So Aurora is doing pretty well there. I'm going to skip ahead to the community characteristics and just do one of those in the interest of time. So the availability of affordable housing, that was actually at the bottom of the, that was one of the, it was not at the top of the scale of the community characteristics, but Aurora is actually doing a little bit better than the cohort in the U.S. as a whole. I did want to highlight the sense of overall safety here. So the blue dot, the Aurora, is a little bit lower, 45% compared to 55 and 56% satisfied. But it is, a lot of communities are really kind of struggling in terms of overall safety. And those were kind of the main pieces that I wanted to cover here. And I also wanted to very quickly go through the rotating survey section. So these were questions that were added on to the end of the instrument. This is about internet access. We asked how satisfied residents were with their current service. 77% were satisfied. But you can see here that Area 1, Council District 1, people were a little bit less satisfied than in the other areas. And we also see that older residents were less satisfied than younger residents in their current service. And in terms of what they would most like to see improved, cost came out on top. 66% of respondents would most like to see the cost of internet services improved in their area. Okay, so I ran through that very, very quickly. Again, you can find the full report, and I'm open for questions if there's time.
Questions? Well, you want to add some more to it?
Nothing to add, just in case anyone any
Anything
questions.
from community service that you wanted to add to that?
No, thank you.
All right, any questions from the council? Alderman Lesh,
Just, can we get a copy of the presentation? Okay, just download it off.
It's
here.
actually attached to the Legistar.
Okay, well, I followed it. I didn't know if there was additional data that she was referring to. Sorry.
The data is in the platform, which everyone has access to.
Any other questions? All right.
Mayor, real quick.
Alderman
Just real
Ms.
quick, if we had questions, if we dig a little bit deeper into this, who we talk to?
Yeah, you can contact from the community services, Vivian. I would say Vivian, and from our side, Mr. Andrew Fairborn, our Director of Data and Analytics.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Any other questions? There have been, and thank you very much, sir, for coming down from Chicago and having your teammate, your cohort, jump on with us and explain how good we're doing here in the city of Aurora, especially as compared to the cohort and compared to national other cities throughout the nation.
Thank you all.
Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, that concludes our staff report update from Zen City. There is no need for a closed session.
Motion to adjourn.
There's been a motion to adjourn by
Second.
Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Give it to you, Franco. It looks like you're in a hurry. All in favor? Meeting is adjourned.